So I want to go over a recent mock draft done by ESPN's Todd McShay, going over the first 2 rounds. He did every single NFL team, but I'm just going to focus on the Packers' 2 picks. They're number 15 in the first round, and then number 45 in the second round. And if you guys are new to the channel, I put out Packers content pretty much every single day. News, updates, analysis, all that kind of stuff. So feel free to subscribe down below if you want to see more content like this in the future. So first off here at number 15, we have Todd McShay selecting the Packers to take Myles Murphy, defensive end edge rusher from Clemson. He says this: the Packers could be in transition this season if Rodgers does end up with the Jets, and they will have to get Jordan Love some help. Allen Lazard and Robert Tonyan signed elsewhere, which leaves the receiving group light. So yes, I could see Green Bay going in that direction, but there should also be plenty of pass-catching options on day 2, and Murphy would be a problem for opponents off the edge of the defense. The Packers' 34 sacks tied for 27th last season, and Rashawn Gary coming off a torn ACL. Murphy can drive back blockers, use his great bend to turn the corner, and then close on the quarterback with burst. He put together 14 sacks and 23 tackles for loss over the past 2 seasons. So I do agree that edge rusher is a need for the Packers. As he mentioned, Rashawn Gary coming off the ACL tear. Preston Smith, now 30 years old, getting up there in age. The Packers need some more depth on the at the edge on the defensive line. Also, I'd say the interior, we need some more depth as well. And when we do look at the first round, I think that edge makes lots of sense. Wide receiver, tight end. Outside of that, I think other things are less important. Safety, definitely a big need, but I don't know about picking a safety at 15 here. Offensive line could use some more depth, but I think when you look at our tackle situation, we still have Bakhtiari. Is a little bit older, but he should be, back better with that ACL tear, mainly behind him now. Also, Elton Jenkins at guard can kick to tackle if we need him to. We brought back Yosh Nijman, who played well at right tackle and left tackle at times, and then Zach Tom can also play right tackle. So I don't think a first-round pick is the best idea for tackle, so I do agree edge rusher could definitely be a good position to pick in round 1. Now, what I do like about Myles Murphy, he's 6'5", 275 pounds, and he ran a 4.52 40. So he's incredibly fast, can chase down guys in the run game. And I was reading through some analysis by PFF, and they said that, sort of comparing him, they compare him to Rashawn Gary. So let me just read you this real quick from PFF. Murphy is an absolute freak athlete. He has been highly touted ever since high school simply because of his raw physical tools. You will hear a lot of comparisons to Trayvon Walker for Murphy throughout this draft season. He has the same type of strength and speed combination that NFL teams look for in an edge defender. Murphy definitely has work to do in developing his pass rushing moves, but he clearly possesses the athletic ability to do it. He recorded 96 pressures and 20 sacks in his Clemson career. So very athletic, very powerful, and even though he may not have every move down now, I think that he's the kind of guy the Packers would probably like to add as an edge rusher. Now moving on to the second-round pick. He has 45, the Packers picking Luke Musgrave, tight end, Oregon State. He says this: after going defense in round 1, the Packers have to find an offensive playmaker in round 2, no matter who is playing QB. Musgrave was limited to 3 games last season and didn't really turn in eye-popping numbers in college, but one watch of the tape shows his immense upside. The 6'6" tight end can make contested catches and stretch the field, and he'd be a good replacement for Robert Tonyan. So if the Packers, as he said, did pick an edge, I've said over the past couple months that whether it's round 1 or round 2, the Packers need to add some kind of pass catcher, whether that's a tight end, because tight end is definitely a need for the Packers, or a wide receiver in one of the first 2 rounds. I really hope the Packers sort of solidify this receiver room, tight end room, because we have lots of young weapons, but we need some more depth here and some more talent to surround Jordan Love in his first season here in the NFL. And when we do look at tight end, Brian Gutekunst himself said in the past month when he was interviewed that tight end is a very deep class. And I think that, when you look at these different tight ends, there are lots of guys who could make sense, who could work. Luke Musgrave, as he said, 6'6", 253 pounds, had a very high relative athletic score, 9.77, ran a 4.62 40, and in 2022, he missed all but 2 games he had a knee injury, but in his first 2 games, I think he had 80 yards. First game, maybe 80 or so yards in his second game. The only issue with him is he's not as great as a run blocker. According to PFF, he had a 54 run blocking grade, and that's out of 100. You compare that to tight end Darnell Washington. He had an 81 run blocking grade. Michael Mayer, I think, had 81 or so. So he's a little bit more, I guess, gifted in the receiving area. 6'6", obviously huge red zone weapon. If the Packers did draft him, he would definitely be a great target in the red zone for Jordan Love, but he is sort of lacking in the blocking area. And if we look at potential other tight end options, of course, it depends on whether it's round 1 or round 2. A guy I love is Darnell Washington. I think that when you look at his testing, with him being, 6'6" or so, or I think he's actually 6'7". 6'7". Let me find his exact measurement so I don't completely say the wrong one. So he's 6'6", 264 pounds, ran a 4.64 40. He's a great receiver and also can get it done blocking. So personally, I'd prefer Washington over Luke Musgrave, but Washington could be gone by the time the Packers do pick in round 2. And so Musgrave may be an option there. Also, if we compare him to, let's say, a guy like Dalton Kincaid, Kincaid is also a little bit lacking in the run blocking area, had a 59.5 run blocking grade by PFF, but one of the best receiving grades for tight ends. So I think when you look at the tight end position, there are lots of really good options. Like, honestly, if we got anyone like a Dalton Kincaid from Utah, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, Luke Musgrave, Oregon State, or Darnell Washington, I'll be satisfied with any of these guys, but Darnell Washington and Michael Mayer, I would say are a little bit more balanced when it comes to run blocking and receiving. I think that out of Mayer and Washington has more upside when it comes to the receiving game. He's faster than him, and he's a little bit taller than Michael Mayer as well by like 2 or so inches. So personally, I hope the Packers do add a tight end in this draft, and there are lots of different options. But that is all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to stay up to date with all Packers news, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.